This is the Beckys Homestead podcast. This is where we talk about everything we couldn't fit in the video episode. Today we're going to talk about our story and our big adventure of getting a mule. We'll just start at the beginning of the mule story. You had Mitchell, which was a Heflinger horse you got, a Heflinger pony.
Our pretty little pony.
And you thought he was going to be your horse, that you would train and he'd be your horse you'd ride everywhere.
I did.
But
yes.
that didn't work out because Mitchell was crazy.
No, he could drive, but he did not want a person on his back. Plain and simple, he did not want you up there, and he made that crystal clear.
Well, a horse you can't ride is pretty useless.
Well, there are people that just drive, so that's where he went. He went to somebody, I heard somebody in Whips bought him. The riding
after
club.
Mitchell, you got rid of him because he didn't work out.
And I've always loved Appaloosas, and I grew up riding an Appaloosa when I was little, so I found a stunning Appaloosa Pongo, which I think everybody's probably seen pictures of.
If you haven't seen a picture of Pongo, her leopard Appaloosa, there's pictures on BeckysHomestead.com.
Yes.
But he basically looks like a Dalmatian dog.
Yeah, he's a big, handsome horse, and he gets a lot of attention wherever we go. So he's a very well-trained horse. He's the first horse I bought trained, and he's well-trained, and I took lessons on him and had a great time on him. But I still did not feel like he was a perfect fit.
Because what did I say to you?
He's too big?
I said he's too much horse for you.
Yeah, he's just too big and too much, and I just don't need all that. And I just wanted to make this point about not being the perfect fit. It's funny because we had a brand new home built and we moved in, and most people would be happy, like their dream home. And I kind of felt the same way with the house. It was a lovely house. There was nothing wrong with it. It just wasn't a perfect fit until we moved here and built my little log cabin. And I feel like that's the perfect fit. You just know it when you have the perfect fit. Okay, so the Appaloosa was like that. He's a lovely horse.
His name is Pongo. You took Pongo camping, horse camping, where you were going to ride him in the woods and trail rides and everything, but you seemed nervous to ride him, like you didn't really want to ride him. And that's when I said to you, it seems like he's too much horse for you. And
that's a good point, because on that camping trip I didn't feel well, so I didn't feel 100%, and I felt like I shouldn't ride him. I just didn't feel like I had the energy and the strength and the intention and the attention to ride him, because he is such a big, powerful horse, and I'm sure to a lot of people he's not that big and powerful. He's 15-1, we'll say that. So he's not huge by any means. There's people that ride 17-plus hand horses. But that's a lot of horse, and it's different when you're on the trail instead of on the arena. In the arena, it's way more controlled, and, there's not much that's going to pop out and surprise the horse where you really have to be 100% to ride. But on the trail, it is.
Should we talk about my theory of all these women throughout the country getting too much horse for them?
Okay, well, you could just point out your observation.
Should I explain my theory right now?
Yeah, you go ahead. I think that's an interesting theory.
At about this time,
it's kind of true.
On the camping trip, we saw lots of other people, my mom's friends, and just many other people who were there at the same time. I saw all these women with huge horses, and they all seemed
intimidated,
high-strung.
Oh.
They all seemed high-strung and nervous, and I want to say
the horses he's talking about, not the women.
Tense. Yeah, not the horses. I'm talking about the women.
Oh.
They seemed tense. And I came up and said it's like running across hot coals. That's the way they ride. It's a hot coal horse where it's too much horse for them. They jump on its back, run down the trail, all nervous and tense.
Tippy-toey, snorting.
Get back to the barn at the other end of the trail, jump off and jump around waving their hands in the air like, I did it. In the exact same way where somebody would run across hot coals and then wave their hands in the air and jump up and down and say, I did it. Where it's not enjoyable. You didn't have fun while you did it.
But yet it is an accomplishment.
Yet it is an accomplishment, and it took all your effort to do it.
Okay, so that's not what I'm going for at all.
And I came up with my theory that there's a nationwide epidemic of these women buying horses, that it's too much horse for them, purely from peer pressure.
And they do spend a lot of money.
All their friends have big horses.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
keeping up with the Joneses kind of thing in the horse industry.
It's a horse cold war where if your friend gets a big horse, you can't get a small horse because then you're going to be made fun of. So purely through peer pressure, We have a nation of women with too much horse, with these hot coal horses where they're
Too much horse and not enough fun. Let's point that out.
And they're easy to spot because you can see them. They have the tie down. They have the bit that has the long shanks, the curb chain, the nose chain. They got the crooper. They got the double. They got the double girth. They got the armor vest, and they got the helmet, and they have a big bug eyes.
And if you come near them, they're like, wait, that's going to scare my horse.
Yeah.
I love that statement.
Yeah.
And I hear that all the time.
So I said to my mom, I said to Becky, I said, I don't want you to be like that. I said, you have been talking about wanting a mule since I was little. I said, why don't you think about getting a mule? Since Pongo is too much horse for you.
Right. And I'm just like, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to get a mule because I just love the donkey so much. And I have so much fun with the donkey. And he just feels like a perfect fit. So I said, okay, I'm going for it.
Well,
okay.
we got the donkey, what, 6 or 7 years ago?
Yeah, like 7 years ago. And
you trained him to drive.
Yeah, I trained him to do everything. And I could train him so easy. And I've trained a lot of horses, but I feel the donkey was so easy to train and just everything about him.
And I
love.
noticed, and I said it to you, I said, you seem like you've never had more fun with a horse than when I see you driving that donkey. You and that donkey formed a relationship. You taught him to drive. You drive him all over the place, and he pulls you in that cart.
Oh, yeah, like he gets it. He knows he's pulling me around. He's just so cute. I just have so much fun with him.
And so that's what I said. You get along with that donkey so good. He's just too small. You can't ride him.
Yeah, he's just
because he's so little.
Right.
Driving is fun, but it's
I want to ride too. Yeah, I like to ride. It is. You have to, pack up the cart if you want to go anywhere. But
so I said, why don't you get a mule? You've been wanting one.
Now, I do have to point out, getting a mule is kind of like riding a pony. Everybody looks down on you. You just say mule. Oh, you hear the horror stories. Everybody has a mule horror story of some point in their life.
Well, when we went camping, I was riding my pony. I have a Hefflinger pony. He's what, 14'2"?
No, he's actually 12'2".
12'2".
Yes.
He's 12'2", yeah.
He's 12'2" wide, though.
He's 12'2", and you can't imagine how many people made fun of me. And, you'd think we were on a grade school recess, all these adults making fun of me when I'm riding my pony. So that's also part of where I came up with my theory that it's peer pressure making people buy these huge horses where they're not even enjoying themselves. They just do it to avoid ridicule.
Okay, good thing we don't care.
So I don't care because I have such a good time riding my pony.
I didn't hear anybody make fun of you, by the way.
Well,
Did you hear
that
those
doesn't mean
comments?
it didn't happen.
Okay, maybe you heard comments. I didn't hear any comments, but
one of the most popular ones, which everybody who says it thinks they're so funny and original, like they just made it up. They say, "Where's the other half of your horse?" And everybody says that joke, and they think they made it up.
But the funny thing is, like, the pony's feet are bigger than the horse's feet that the people are on. Mm-hmm. He's short, but he's very stocky and wide. I mean, he takes a full-size horse saddle and all that, and he's got horse-sized feet. He just has short legs.
But I forgot what my point was. Why was I talking about the pony?
Well, just because people poo-poo the mule
the ridicule.
and the pony, you kind of get the same attitude.
So you can't.
People look down their nose at you.
You can't care what other people say.
Right. Whatever works for you.
When you're out on the trail, when you're going to horse shows, when you're going horse camping, you're going to get made fun of, but you can't care about that when you get a mule or a pony.
I know. But the thing is, we come back with a smile on our face. Our horses are calm, and we've had so much fun. Everybody else is already back at the barn because they can't even slow their horses down. Their horses are just so high-strung. And the women are afraid. That's just the way it is, and they're not having as much fun. So I do it for the fun, so I don't really care.
So after that camping trip is when I think we really started talking about getting a mule for you. I think that's when we started seriously considering it.
When I didn't feel well and
after
didn't
that camping
ride Pongo.
trip, and I said Pongo's too much horse for you.
Yeah.
I think that's when you really kind of flipped the switch in your brain, and we really started shopping for a mule. Would you agree?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably. I don't know. Yeah, the switch flipped, and I just made the decision, and I was so excited about it after that, just going for it. Like I said, a lot of people poo-pooed the mule, and a lot of people had horror stories about mules and training mules, and mules will hurt you, and just a lot of stories. So I don't know. Maybe that's what made me reluctant. But after having the donkey and
The donkey
helped
got
too.
rid of all your fears and concerns.
Yeah,
We saw it
because
for ourselves how
we've
good
never
they
had
can
a
be.
problem training him, and
Yeah.
he's never bit us or kicked us or anything. So I guess they have the potential.
So you sold Pongo,
I did.
the Appaloosa, to your sister.
To a good home.
And how much money did you get?
I did get what I paid for him, which is $2,000.
So you had a $2,000 mule budget. So what'd you do first? What was your first mule shopping?
And the funny thing is, I had been searching the internet for probably 2 years. Often, like, not daily, but, weekly, several times a week, just looking at all the different states, the mules, how much they go for, just everything about them. So I had a pretty good idea how much they cost. All right, let me make this point, okay? This is a very, very important point for people buying a horse. I think it's very important to have somebody else help you pick out your horse. A lot of times when you're looking for an animal, especially a horse that you're going to ride, I think your emotions are high and you get excited and you have fears and expectations and hopes and dreams and everything. I think it is such a good idea to have somebody else involved that's going to help you and match you up with a horse or a mule or a pony or whatever it may be. And somebody that hopefully, can know a little bit about you. And then also somebody that knows, about horses and stuff.
Because you picked Mitchell, the Hefflinger, and you picked Pongo, the Appaloosa, all by yourself. And neither of those worked out. And
For me, let's just make that part clear.
They
they didn't
weren't a good fit for you.
Right, exactly. It's not that they weren't bad animals. They just weren't a good fit for me. So, and it is expensive to travel around and look for horses. It's expensive to keep a horse, tack, food. Everything's expensive involving a horse.
So the agreement we came to was that I was going to help you get your mule.
Right.
And I had to sign off on it.
Yes.
That if I had the veto.
Right. You had the veto power.
I had veto control.
He did. He had veto power. And you'll
find out as we get farther in the story that I had to exercise that veto power a few times.
And right from the get-go.
With a lot of difficulty.
Yeah, it was not easy turning over that power to Scott, but I can't tell you how happy I am in the long run. He knows me, and he picked the perfect animal for me.
Don't jump to the end of the story.
Okay. It's hard not to, because it is a happy ending.
No, well, don't give it away. They're going to turn it off.
Okay.
Well, after lots of searching the internet, we found our first...
A contender. Let's just put it that.
We found our first contender.
Yes.
We're in Florida. The contender is in Tennessee.
Right.
You were going to Lexington, Kentucky to visit family.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was not going.
Right.
So you decided that on the way, because the place where the mule is in Tennessee is on the way to Lexington.
Mm-hmm.
So you called the lady, and you made arrangements to meet her and just
on the way
look
home.
at the mule and see it in person and get a first look at it.
Right. And of course.
So tell me what happened how'd that meeting go? Tell me what happened.
Okay, the meeting went well. The lady was nice. They hauled the mule close to the highway so I could, make it easy for me to have a look at it. And unfortunately, it was pouring down rain, so I didn't get a long look at it. But I did.
Set the scene. What is it? It's pouring down rain.
Pouring down rain.
Where did you pull off on the highway?
Pulled off on the highway. She told me where to park. It was a nice, empty parking lot. Pretty good size. We both fit in there easy with,
So you're in an empty parking lot.
Right.
In the pouring down rain.
Yes.
She pulls up with the horse trailer.
Right.
You're sitting there in your car.
Waiting anxiously.
This sounds like something from like a gang movie.
I know, but that's how it works out sometimes. You know what I mean?
Did you have an umbrella? What was going on?
No, I just got out in the rain. It wasn't pouring down rain by then. It was like sprinkling. So on and off, it'd pour, then sprinkle, pour, then sprinkle.
And what'd you think when you saw the mule?
Oh, I was instantly in love with it, of course.
And tell me about the mule. What kind of mule was it?
Supposedly it was let me just think, a saddlebred mare with a standard jack. So, okay, it wasn't that big. She said it was 14.2, and it didn't look quite that big, but I didn't measure it or anything. So, but they are very strong.
How old was it? How big was it?
3 years old, 14.2, all red.
And it was a girl.
It was, yes, a Molly Mule. Sweet face.
And did you like it when you saw it?
I did like it. I instantly liked it, of course. I like all animals. They're all good to me. That's the problem. And that's why most people need help choosing a horse. I would say find help. Okay, anyway, so I put the deposit down, all excited.
How much was the deposit?
$100, non-refundable.
So you liked the mule that much.
I did.
You put $100 down. And what was the arrangements? What was the plan?
I had to pay $1,300 and go back and get it in March. So
and when was this?
A month ago, March 1st.
No, when did you meet?
That was December, the end of December.
So you met in December with plans to go back and get it in March.
March 1st, yeah. So 2 months later.
Now, the plan was that I was going to go in March.
Right.
With you.
Right.
And I had veto control.
Right.
So, worst case scenario, you were going to lose $100 and we were going to drive all that way for nothing.
And the good part was we might lose $100, but we would avoid another animal that wasn't a good fit for me. So, yes.
So, that's December. Fast forward to March. Cut to March.
Okay, let me.
We are, me and you in the truck driving to Tennessee with the empty horse trailer.
We are. I do have to interject this, though. It is always very fun if you Google nice restaurants and bakeries and stuff along the route. So at least you have wonderful places to stop and eat because you have to eat no matter what. So I have to say that was really fun doing that. Okay, so we get there.
So it's March now. Me and you together are driving up to Tennessee from Florida.
Yes, we are.
It was a very long drive. We have the empty horse trailer with us.
Pouring down rain again, wasn't it? Tornado watch or something. Yeah. Remember, we were scared.
That was when we were going to Georgia. You're telling the story wrong. That was the next.
Oh, sorry. Okay, skip that. Skip that part. Okay, here we are. We're going up to Tennessee. Pulling the trailer.
So we get all the way up there. The lady's house wasn't too hard to find.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't too hard to find. She gave us good directions. We pull up their driveway, and the first thing I saw was her husband riding down the driveway on a mule.
Yes.
Now I had only seen pictures of the mule we were supposed to buy, so I wasn't too sure of it. So when I saw him riding down the driveway on a mule, I thought that was our mule, and I liked it as soon as I saw it. I said, "Wow, that's a nice mule." As soon as I saw him coming down the driveway. And so he stopped, and we rolled our window down, and he started talking to us, her husband. Mm-hmm. And we found out that, no, that is not our mule. That was just a different mule that they owned.
That was his mule they were keeping.
So that's not our mule.
Right.
So we pull up the driveway, and we see another mule tied to a horse trailer. And I'm thinking, oh, there's our mule. And I liked it. And I said, oh, that's a nice mule. And nope, that's not our mule either. That's just a different mule.
That was a different mule.
Tied to a horse trailer, which I don't know why they had it tied to a horse trailer as if to show it off.
No, she was saying it was acting up when her husband was leaving. So it wouldn't break through the fence. They tied it to the horse trailer. So
that's not our mule either. So two, no. I'm 0 for 2.
Mm-hmm.
So we park, get out, we all say hi and everything. So finally, well, where's our mule? Which is the mule she put the deposit down on? They wheel out this crooked-legged little girl mule, and as soon as I see it, the instant I lay eyes on it, I said, "Look at its legs."
Well, I do want to bring out this point. In all fairness, the people doing the feet, the farrier was absolutely lousy, and he did a lousy job on the feet, and that did affect the conformation somewhat. So. When I saw it, the feet had been done more recently, and it, the back legs, it stood under itself better.
Well, I don't care about all that.
Okay.
All I know is
just in all fairness, I had to say that.
All I know is when I look at the mule, I don't like its legs.
Yeah, you did not like those legs at all. That was a big concern for you.
The farrier can only mess it up so much. I didn't like its legs. Mm-hmm. I saw they had other mules. We passed 2 mules in the driveway. Mm-hmm. Their legs looked perfectly fine.
Yeah.
And they're the same farriers doing their legs.
Okay.
Doing their feet. So the instant I saw it, I didn't like its legs. So I guess you didn't notice that in the pouring down rain in that parking lot.
I did. I gave it a good look over, and I thought the conformation was fine. I mean, mules do have kind of funny legs. You see that now. So does the donkey. They're not like horse legs. They are different.
So we talked for a little bit. We wanted to see them ride it to see how friendly it was.
That's a good point because they asked us if we wanted to.
I'm not
ride
just going
it.
to get on a strange horse.
Right.
I don't know what it's going to do. I don't just get on strange horses. I got to trust the horse before I'm going to get on it because I'm not getting hurt. So we had them ride it. They were riding it around, and it did seem, we had suspicions that it had other foot problems. I don't know for sure, but based on what some other people there were saying, and somebody let something slip, and so we had our suspicions.
Kind of confirmed.
There was a little issue going on. And
yes,
yeah.
We got out of there quick.
I think there was other foot problems. I can't say for sure, but basically, I didn't like that mule's legs, and that was kind of a deal breaker. So I literally had to twist Becky's arm and lay down my veto and say, "We're not getting this mule. We're going home empty-handed." And she wanted that.
I
mule
have
so
to say
bad.
and it's good to have somebody go with you. Again, I'm going to just re-emphasize that over and over.
Twist her arm. I figuratively just twisted her arm.
And it's so true though, because let me tell you the feelings I had. I told Scott this. I feel like a hunter going out hunting and coming home empty-handed. That is the feeling. Like, I felt so empty and dejected and like a failure. It was awful. It was an awful feeling. So, you have to suck it up and get over it if you want to get a good fit, if you want to get a good animal. You do have to, weed through.
So that was it.
You need support. You need support for that,
With great effort. And I have to say I'm surprised and kind of happy that she
And it was a
able
long
to do
drive.
It was a long drive.
Yes, it was, to come home empty-handed.
We just turned that trailer around and came home.
Oh, my gosh. I can't believe it. I'm happy we did it now.
So that was that for that mule. And we struck out.
Yep.
So we came back and we started searching the internet more. And I got on Craigslist and was looking up mules on there.
Yeah, now Scott's doing the search.
Because I said to Becky, I said, why don't you just go on Craigslist and type in mule?
Something closer to home, you said.
Yeah.
I said, there isn't any.
So I went on Craigslist, typed in mule, and lots of listings popped up. And I said, look at all these mules.
Surprisingly, yeah, that's true.
And I just started close to us and moved my way out.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we find number 2.
Now, when I
prospect number 2.
I think you were out, and I was at my house searching. I found this mule. This is what I saw when I clicked on the ad. There's 4 pictures. On one picture, the mule is standing on a wooden platform. On the next picture, the mule is standing with a bright blue tarp draped over its neck.
While the guy's mounted.
With a man on the mule.
Yes.
It's a female mule, which is I know is what my mom Becky wanted. Mm-hmm. That's the second picture. He's on the mule with a big blue tarp draped over its neck. Mm-hmm. The third picture, he's standing on a homemade, kind of like a big frame with dangly bits hanging down, like cans on strings.
Spooky
and
spaghetti strings hanging down. You have to walk through.
There's just a bunch of stuff hanging, and he's standing right in the middle of that.
Right.
On the mule. He's on the mule. It's standing right in the midst of all that. Mm-hmm. And the fourth picture was a tarp hung on a frame, shredded, and he's walking through the shredded tarp, kind of like the things at a car wash.
Fingers at a car wash.
Yeah, the last thing on a car wash you drive through with all the fingers hanging down, just like that. So I said, "Wow, this mule
looked good.
This mule looks trained.
Looked
it looks
promising.
Calm. It was just the right size.
14.2.
Female mule, and the price was right. He only wanted, what was it, $600? $800.
Right.
And he wasn't that far away. He was like 4 hours from us.
So it was less than the first prospect.
Yeah, because that lady wanted $1,400.
Yes.
This mule was $800.
Right.
Seemed bomb-proof and calm as a cucumber.
A little older. It was 7.
So I called the guy, and he sounded like a cowboy. He sounded like a cool guy. Mm-hmm. And so I felt really good about this mule. I said, "Oh, we found our mule." We were both dancing around, all giddy and excited, like we were smitten by
So the
this
next
mule.
weekend, we planned it for the next weekend.
We kicked it into high gear, and we were going up that weekend. Mm-hmm. So
yep.
It gets to Saturday, We get in the truck with our empty horse trailer. We drive up there. Pull up this guy. He's in a very nice neighborhood.
Very nice.
We pull down his driveway. He has a very nice ranch with a little barn, nice pasture,
setup.
nice fence.
Yes.
Nice. Other horses all look friendly.
Healthy, fat, neat and tidy.
We get there.
Oh.
We talk to the guy a little bit. He seems nice. We say, okay, let's go look at that mule. Get out to the pasture.
He has it locked up in a little paddock, which is a red flag.
We see red flag number 1.
Yes, it wasn't out in the pasture.
It's not out running around the pasture.
It's put
in
up.
a little paddock.
So you can catch it easy.
So me and the guy go in the little paddock, and I walk up to that mule, and it literally did a backflip
To get away from him.
to get away from me.
Yes.
And I didn't do anything.
I jumped behind the pole because it looked
you
terrified.
Were you were standing behind us.
The beam. Because it did. It looked like it would go through the fence to get away from you. It did. It looked absolutely terrified.
So that was the first impression that it made. And he's the whole time he's going, oh, I don't know why it's acting like this.
Yeah.
It's usually so calm. I don't know. Maybe it's scared of your hat.
And we're like, bull crap.
Yeah. So he gets it out. He gets the halter on it. He gets it out into the barn and cross ties it.
On chains, big chain, cross ties.
And he's going to tack it up so he can ride it, or we can try to ride it and everything.
Then he tells me to move, just in case. Remember that?
Well, you were kind of standing in a stupid place.
I didn't think
where
so.
If it moves, it's going to break your neck with the chain because you're just not paying attention.
Well, usually when you have a horse out there to brush, you move all around the animal.
Yeah, well, don't stand with your neck right by the chain.
Okay, well,
That's
whatever.
a bad idea no matter what.
Whatever.
Well, while he's tacking it up, I notice, and I'm looking at it, and we're kind of talking, we're kind of
High
whispering
head.
to
Let's
each
just
other.
make that point.
Its head was straight up. Its neck and head were straight up in the air.
Looks like a cobra.
Like a cobra. The
Almost.
whole time.
Yeah.
It didn't lower that head
Never.
for 1 second.
Never settled.
And I started I just kind of touched it very gently. And I said, look how tight it is. It's tense. The whole horse, the whole mule's body, the entire thing, was as tight as a drum. Like every muscle on that thing's body was just tense.
It didn't have 1 ounce of trust in it. It was on red alert, terrified. It was terrified.
And the whole time the guy's going, I don't know what's...
And you kind of felt sorry for it. Like, what did somebody do to it to make it that terrified?
Like this. So he gets the saddle on it. He puts the bit on it. He gets on it and rides it. And it didn't put that head down.
He tied its head down, remember? He tried to tie the head down really low. And I said, no. Let's let the head be in its natural, comfortable position. And I loosened it a little bit. Remember?
Yeah. And
it had sores where it pulled the girth up underneath its front legs to raise its head high and rubbed sores on itself. We noticed that when we were grooming it.
Yeah, because even with the head tie down, it still
pulled.
was pulling because it wanted that head up. It was basically, this was a terrified animal. And I have a rule against scared animals. Scared animals are dangerous. And I don't want anything to do with a scared animal.
This guy said, what do you think? And I said, I'm not getting on that thing.
So he rides it around.
I'll never ride that. I knew that in the second I saw it act like that. I said, I will never get on that thing's back.
So he rides it around a little bit. It's got its head up as high as it can go the whole time. The whole body, every muscle tense, just like stepping, like goose stepping around.
Hot coals. That's what it looked like.
Yeah.
It was dancing across hot coals.
So I'm like, well, let me see if I can get on.
I don't even know why you went that far. We should have just left right then and there.
I don't know what I was thinking. And so he's like, well, let's go in the round pen.
No, you almost have your foot in the stirrup, and he's like, wait a minute. Let's go over here in the round pen.
So we go in the round pen. I walk up to the horse. I put my foot in the stirrup, and as I barely just hop, just slightly, my head bobs up towards the sky to get on the horse. It does a backflip and is
away from you again.
It's 20 feet away from me in the blink of an eye.
Yeah. Like it didn't want to hurt you. It wanted to get away from you.
It wanted to get away. And good thing I didn't get my foot stuck in the stirrup because I would have been injured.
Oh, it would have dragged you for 3 miles through the fence.
So that was...
we were like, the end. And then the man says, firm, the price was $800 firm when we were on the phone.
In the ad.
And on the phone.
And on the phone. He said, my price is $800 firm.
Right.
So after all that, I'm like, okay, well, this doesn't seem good for us. And so we're just getting ready to leave. And he goes, well, I'm going to take it to the auction.
In a very desperate plea, he tells Scott, make an offer. And Scott, which was kind of mean, says, well, even if you gave it to us free, we don't want it.
Because he's saying, oh, I'm going to take it to the auction because nobody buys it.
We were like, bye.
And he goes, well, if you want to make an offer. And I said, no, even if this thing was free, we don't want it.
Yeah.
So
it's not what we're looking for.
So actually, I didn't really have to exercise my veto on this one. We both
that was not a good fit for us.
So his pictures kind of didn't tell the whole story.
Yeah, the pictures are not worth 1,000 words. That's for sure.
Well, the point I made is you can snap a picture.
Yeah.
And it just shows one split second.
Yeah, millisecond.
But you don't know what's going on before and after that.
Exactly.
So I guess the moral of that story is the pictures can lie.
Yeah. You better go with somebody and check it out.
Don't just trust pictures. Pictures can totally lie and not tell the whole story.
Mm-hmm. So now we're back in the truck, pulling the trailer. Now, we're spending a lot of money in gas, mind you, because we're hauling all over with this empty trailer.
Your $2,000 mule budget is getting eaten up by gas.
I said we're going to drive around looking at mules, and so we have no money because we've spent it all on gas driving around looking for mules, and then I'll just go home with absolutely nothing. So it was kind of depressing going away from the second one.
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer. But at least it wasn't so far away. It wasn't such a long drive.
And it was better than going home with that mule. I would rather have nothing, to tell you the truth.
That was actually easy because that mule was crazy.
It still felt kind of depressing, though. But anyway.
Because we thought it was good.
We were like, strike two.
It was more depressing the fact that the mule turned out to be such a disappointment.
Yeah. Looked spectacular. And ended up like a huge... bombed out. Huge.
Because the first mule we looked at just had messed up legs, but it was friendly and sweet.
Yeah, the little boy rode it. It was, all that was fine. It was sweet.
So we get back home. Mule number 1, mule number 2, both we strike out.
We didn't even get home. We like stopped to regroup and get a bite to eat. Remember? And you were looking on the internet.
We got back on Craigslist, and there was a third mule, which was in Florida. So this is the closest one yet, where we're getting closer and closer to our home base. And I call the guy. In the picture, he's standing on the saddle, on the mule. And then there's another picture of 2 kids on the mule, a kid and then a younger kid, both riding the mule by themselves. Mm-hmm. And
so we're like, this one looks good.
This one looks nice. It's a very attractive.
It's a boy though. It's a John mule, horse mule.
Yeah, it looked nice and everything. So
$1,500 though, right?
He wanted $1,500.
Yeah. And we didn't have $1,500.
So I call him and he said, well, there's people coming up from Tampa to look at, and they said they want it. So I can't sell it to you because I already promised it to these people from Tampa, and they're coming up next week. So there's not really anything I can do for you. But my friend, he is selling a mule that's very similar to mine. Mm-hmm. And so he's like, I can give you his phone number. So I said, okay. And I got the guy's phone number. Mm-hmm. I called him, the friend. I told him, I got your number from your friend. He said, you're selling a mule. He said, yep, we got a mule for sale. He said the price is $600.
We were like, oh,
okay.
$600. We're like, right. Best yet.
It's a boy mule. He said it drives. He said it's friendly. I said, well, can you send us some pictures of it? So they texted us some pictures on the phone, and the picture was them driving the mule. Another picture of the mule on the porch of the house, mm-hmm. standing there, mm-hmm. like he owned the place.
That was funny. So we knew that personally from our donkey.
And then just the third picture of the mule just standing there,
right,
in the pasture.
And he was a beauty. He was nice.
We thought he looked good.
Like
in the pictures.
black mule.
So we make arrangements to drive up there.
The next day. Sunday.
Yeah, it was the next day. And he wasn't too far.
Nope.
So we drove over to his place. We get out and look at the mule. And the whole family was there to meet us, too.
Yeah, the whole family.
It was the guy, his wife, his kid who was grown, and that guy's wife.
And their cousin or somebody else.
Other people, the whole family was there.
Oh, yeah, there was a lot of people.
Yeah.
Sweet family.
All nice people.
All sitting around. They had the mule and a Hefflinger tied to the back of the trailer. And we walked up.
So tell me what you saw when you saw the mule for the first time.
My first response was, he's too big. Because Pongo's 15-1, and the mule's 15-1. So it is a big mule. And mules are really strong. Mules are stronger than horses. So, I mean, I just looked at that. I was just like, wow, that is going to be a lot of animal. But he is like the donkey. He was the sweetest thing, the sweetest look on his face. And he doesn't...
That's one thing we like on a horse is its facial expression.
Yeah.
When you're around horses, you can notice their expression on their face. Mm-hmm. A scared, crazy horse has big, round bug eyes.
And the head's up.
And the head's up in the air.
Mm-hmm.
A sweet horse kind of crinkles their eyebrows a little bit.
Oh.
And they have like a little sweet expression on their face.
And their head's down. Low. So I walk up to the mule, and he instantly presses his big whole forehead on my torso. And his big ears are like under my chin like a bow tie. I was just in love with him, just instantly. I was like, it's a big Doodles, you know.
And that's our donkey.
Yeah, I was so happy with him. Just that made me happy.
So his personality seems similar to our donkey, which we love our donkey.
Which we love, love, love the donkey. So, yeah, it was like a big donkey, a big black donkey. I must say, just from looking at this mule, I knew instantly he was not from a standard jack. He was from a mammoth jack because he was so big. So he was very different than the two previous mules we looked at. This one was much bigger.
So we rode him around a bit. The people tacked him up. They rode him first. And
now we have to say, the people told me, because the whole family was there. So Scott was talking to, they watched him walk around. Scott and I were separated from each other at this point. And they told me they had never ridden the mule. They had him for 2 years. They had never ridden the mule. So I said I'd like to just see the son get on him, who was a grown man once again. Just get on him. I just wanted to see if you could get on him and buck, if he would buck or not, because I feel, I could take it from there. If you could sit on him and he wouldn't buck you off, we've trained plenty. We can train him and take it from there. So they did. They got the saddle out, and I could tell he was a little nervous, but he did get right up there, and the mule just stood there. He didn't even move his feet. And then Scott got on him.
And I rode him around a bit. I got him to trot.
Mm-hmm.
And he's basically just calm, friendly. He's not trained that well. He doesn't really want to go. He doesn't understand how to steer very well. But the thing is, though, the most important thing, he's calm and friendly. And you can train from that point. Once you start with calm and friendly, you can train.
Right.
And you end up with a good horse.
I mean, for us, training isn't the problem. We don't mind training. It's just at the end of all the training, because training is time-consuming, you want it to be a good fit. You can spend the time training a horse, and in the end, it's not a good fit. So we wanted to find the fit first, and then we don't mind training from there. So, and they told me they had never ridden it, and we asked where they had gotten the mule. They said they saw him in a parade. Somebody was riding him in a parade, so we thought, oh, well, that sounds good. He's been out and about a bit. But they did say they rode him in blinkers with the blinders on. And most people don't ride with blinders, so that was kind of a little tiny red flag for me. But I guess they did that just because he was young and they didn't want him to act up in the parade if he saw everything on the sides of the streets.
But we have not ridden him with blinkers at all, and he's been perfectly fine.
Well, I did notice in the beginning when we first started getting on him, he would kind of put his head up and look back there like, ooh, like he saw you back there. But, he didn't buck or scurry forward or anything. But you could tell at first he was just, I didn't even want to maybe use the word startled. That might even be too strong of a word, but he did kind of put his head up and look back there like, ooh, like he noticed, it was a little bit of a surprise. But I must say, the last time I got on him, he didn't even do that. And we've probably ridden him, 5 times so far, do you think? 6?
Yeah, well, you're jumping ahead in the story. So we bought him, and we got him home. Mm-hmm. And
he loaded up nicely, got right in the trailer.
fine.
Loads just like the donkey. They hop. They're hoppers.
See, we got him home, and we put him in your small, temporary...
Oh, yeah.
What is it? A paddock or
Well, it's
corral?
16 by 16.
It's like the temporary holding cage.
It's a stall. It's like 16 by 16.
I call it the drunk tank because it's just small temporary cage.
Yeah, with no roof though. So
we threw him in the drunk tank, and what do you do?
Well, he was fine at first. He looked around. He was eating his hay and everything. And was it that day or the next day? Pretty soon, he didn't like it in there. And Scott was here when I came home from work, and he said the whole time he was here, the mule was fine. But the funny thing is, as soon as the mule saw me, he started acting up, and he literally smashed through the side of the
Fence.
The fencing. Yeah, he
With
was
his
so
chest.
naughty.
He didn't even get a running start though. He literally just slowly, calmly, methodically,
And he knew he could crack those boards.
Pushed his chest against the wooden fence and just broke it.
Just broke it into two boards.
Completely, just cracked it like it wasn't even there, and just cracked the fence in
But
half.
not like a wild, head up, eyes open,
it was
crazy. It was very deliberate.
It was calm, deliberate, and methodical.
We're like, oh, you stinker. He wanted to be in the pasture with the other horses.
So that was the end of that.
That was the end of that. We didn't even leave him in there overnight. We put him in the pasture.
And then he had to learn about the electric fence.
Oh, that he was not happy with at all. Let me tell you.
Electric fence. He zapped himself and he did a little dance and he was so upset.
He was emotionally upset over that one. Yes, he was.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't come near the fence for a week.
And didn't I put him to the poles once, and I clunked something in the shed, and it kind of made the sound like a zap from the electric fence, and he scurried backwards.
Yeah, he did not like that one bit.
He didn't want any part of that.
So basically, after that, we started training him. Mm-hmm. And tell us about how the training has been going. What'd you do to train him?
Well, I start with no bit, like just 2 lead lines on the halter. That way, if you have to really pull, you don't hurt him or scare him or anything. But we quickly realized he is so strong, we have to have a bit. So we have a nice miler bit we were using on Pongo, the Appaloosa. So we were like, well, let's just use that for now. We'll just see. So we used that, and then which is a D bit. So no leverage. So we quickly realized, okay, this is not enough bit. We need something with a little shank, just a little more power, because he's so strong and powerful. So I searched on the internet, and I found the perfect bit. What I got was a junior cow bit, and it's perfect. Just little shanks.
I have no idea what that means.
Oh, you don't know what a junior cow bit is?
I don't know anything about bits.
Well, it's a sweet iron. It's a sweet iron snaffle. I did get a 1/2 inch, which is the fattest, kind. I don't know how to describe it. I guess some people can look it up. You have to look it up. It's difficult to describe bits. But anyway, I use it without a curb strap because that's the chin strap that goes under the chin. That we did have one of those on the D bit. And it actually made his chin a little sore because we had to pull him so hard. But we used the junior cow bit. Oh, it's a dream bit. It works so good on him. Doesn't make him sore.
What did we have to train him to do? What was he doing wrong?
He just wouldn't turn. He's very stiff in the neck. So.
And he seems like he doesn't want to go.
And you don't want to kick a mule. Let me tell you that. I've heard many, many stories of people that get on the mule, and the donkey was the same exact way. That's how I know all this, because the donkey was literally identical, like a carbon copy. And I quickly knew if you kick the donkey and it makes them mad, they take that personal. It is so funny. They literally take that as an insult, and it makes them mad. And you don't want to make a donkey or a mule mad. But here's the funny thing. If you give them a little smack on the rump, gently though, you don't really have to give them a good one. They go perfect. And they don't get upset. They don't pin their ears back. Nothing. Just give them a little boom, boom, boom on the rear end and off they go. So we do that with the mule now. He didn't want to go. I think he just doesn't know how. He's just confused.
But he is such a quick learner.
Oh, yes, he is. Just like the donkey. They get it quickly. Like I mount on a stepping block. I don't put my foot in the stirrup and get up because I have lead in my rear end. So I have to use the stepping block. And every horse I've had, I had to teach it, to stand there nicely while I climb up the little stairs and get on. So, of course, I had to train the mule. And he quickly learned. The last time I did it, he stood there perfect. I was so happy with him. He's a very fast learner.
They're definitely smart.
Yeah, they're definitely smarter than a horse. Yes, they are.
And so basically, we've just been riding him a bit, and he's
short lessons.
He's doing short lessons. When I'm on him, if I need to get him to go, because he doesn't seem like he wants to go, I don't kick him. I just reach behind me with my hand and just very gently smack him on the butt, and that gets him to go.
Yeah,
he will go.
It works.
It's almost like I'm not disciplining him. I'm communicating with him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying, I want you to go. And I say walk at the same time. I give him a little smack on the butt, and I say walk.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to the point the other day, the last time we rode him, which was a couple days ago, where he was going purely verbally. I would just say walk, and he would walk. He was doing so good. He's such a quick learner.
Yeah, he's really smart. And the funny thing is, like, a horse almost seems like a smack on the rump is discipline. That's almost how a horse sees it. A mule does not seem to interpret a smack on the rump as discipline. It makes them go forward. That's just how they work, you know? Like, if you kick them, that's an insult to a mule. And I know, like I said, a lot of people, they've been bucked off, and let me tell you, that's why. They get on there with spurs and think they're going to kick that thing and make it go, and it makes it go all right. Up and down, not forward. So we've been, you know, when we train, we try to avoid problems. So we have short sessions, and we do a lot of praising, although we don't give in. If they're not getting it, we stick with it until they do it right, and then praise, and then that's it. So far, so good. Now the big issue is, since we've never had a mule, is a saddle.
We've been using my saddle that I use on my pony. Which
we must say is a Spanish saddle. And I did a lot of research on the internet, and just from seeing the conformation of the mule and the donkey, they have a backbone. And on a horse, you know, that's very unappealing, and you'd call that spiny, I guess. That's what I always call it. But on a mule and a donkey, that is their conformation. They have a backbone, so you need kind of an A-frame saddle. You know, the saddle bars have to be more narrow and kind of built on an A-frame. And Scott's Spanish saddle is built exactly like that. So it fits the mule absolutely perfect.
But you're not getting my saddle.
So he won't give up the saddle, which is kind of not fair, seeing as I found that saddle in the first place.
You found it, but I bought it with my money. So
I know, but still.
What do you mean, but still? It's my saddle.
Okay, it doesn't matter, though, because I found an even better saddle online. An absolutely stunning Spanish saddle. It comes from Colombia, and I'm going to get that saddle for the mule. And
how much is it?
It's like $5.25 plus shipping. And let me add this part.
Yeah, well, that's way more than what I paid for mine. I got my saddle for $50.
No, I found your saddle for $50.
I said you should just go and get a saddle at the same yard sale where I got mine.
Well, I have never seen one of those saddles before, and there's no maker's mark on it, so I can't find another one.
Well, not the exact same one, but I would shop there. That's where I would shop.
No, I found the saddle I want. And anyway, what I was going to say is what I really love about the saddle I found, the Spanish saddle I found, is it has covered stirrups, but they're Spanish, so they call them tapaderos. And it comes to a point. It's not round like American covered stirrups. It's very attractive, very Spanish looking. And I am so clumsy, and I do worry that my foot is going to go through the stirrup and I'm going to fall off and be dragged. So I love the idea of the covered stirrup with the tapadero. So I'm very excited. So that's my goal now. I'm saving to get my new saddle for my mule.
I'm so glad we didn't settle.
That's the moral, I guess, right?
And we kept searching, and we found the mule that we're so happy with.
And it truly feels like the perfect fit.
Well, that's the mule so far.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we give an update on your log cabin? What's going on with the log cabin?
Okay. Well, financially, we're kind of tight, so we're not actually doing much work on the log cabin. We did get the permanent power turned on, which we have definitely been enjoying that.
And the most important thing, what did we get?
We did get the CO.
That's the most important thing.
It's all legal. Not that it was illegal before, but that's the final step, the CO. We don't, need any more inspections from the building inspector.
Yeah. The CO basically means the house is done.
We can inhabit the house.
You can live here. It's done. You could sell it. It's a house.
Right.
It's a housey house.
It's a housey house.
It's not a construction site anymore. It's a house.
No. And it does feel wonderful. And I did place all my lighting right where I want it. I bought my first $20 light bulb. I just wanted to see. I just had to see for myself how those LED lights are. And I must say, I love it. I'm going to get more of them. I don't care if they're $20. They're good for the environment, and they make the electric bill cheap. And they're fine. They're nice lights. I like them.
Okay, well, we've been talking for about an hour, so I think that's good.
Is that all?
Well, do you have anything else you want to say?
No, that's good.
Well, I think that's the end of this episode then. Thanks for listening.